Trust the process. Pain is power. All great things take time. I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the UnBreakables Podcast, episode 19. I am your host, Jay, and this is my brother and my co-host, Gift the Poet.
Episode 19, we have the founder of Go Fresh and Lean Bites Bakery. He is an entrepreneur in meal prep and healthy foods, and he is AreteSyndicate, founded by Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. Today, we'd like to welcome Billy Anderson.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, Go Fresh, Go Fresh.
Go Fresh.
Yeah,
No.
Billy, go fresh.
I know. Yesterday at the Progression Conference, everyone's like, "Wait, Billy? Like Go Fresh, Billy? Like that's all we know him by."
Yeah, I changed my Instagram handle to that, and now that's all I get. Like Billy Anderson doesn't exist. It's Billy Go Fresh.
It goes with you though.
It works.
No, first and foremost, Billy, we just want to say thank you so much, especially for making the drive from Modesto.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for having me.
It was just a matter of time. I know we have mutual friends in common. EJ, shout out EJ.
Shout out EJ.
Absolutely.
But your story immediately, like it hooked for us because we're really big into fitness. We're big into meal prepping as well, and it's definitely an avenue we'd love to get into. So I know that's an avenue today where everyone's it's big, right?
100%.
So let's start from your childhood, and then we'll slowly transition into what led you today.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of my childhood is who I am today. You know, I was blessed to have some parents that were very hardworking. Didn't come from a lot, but they always maximized what they could do, and they could always work. My dad shared with me early on, like, you may not be the best at everything, but you can always outwork somebody. Like, that's something you can't control. And so from early on, I realized, like, I'm probably not going to be the best at a lot of things, but I knew I could work. And that was one thing my parents taught me from a very early age. My dad was a general contractor, self-employed, so I started working with him very early on, learned the habits of work, and I thought it was so funny as a child. I was frustrated, you know, being a kid, you're like, damn, I want to go have some fun. Like, you know, I want to go play with my friends. I want to do things, especially during the summertime. My dad would be like, all right, we're going to the gym in the morning, then we're going to eat some breakfast, and then we're going to go, work on the job site. And like, I hated it most summers.
So everything was structured.
Oh yeah, very structured. And it's so funny. I was just sharing with my fiance that, my dad just passed, and the one thing, like, looking back through, like, childhood and just memories, you're like, damn, I wish my dad had, like, told me, like, this is, like, behavioral discipline at its, like, it kind of gave me that structure so I understood it. It was just like, no, this is what we do. And it was very structured. I didn't understand why, the structuring, but yeah, it was very structured from early on. Get up, like, train your body, like, get your body fueled, start your day, like, and it was a lot of positivity, like early in the morning. Like, and I didn't know I was learning a morning routine and engulfing my body in positivity before I started the day. And I realized that's what, like, allowed my dad to work so hard was when you wake up and, like, I mean, now with our phones, you consumed by negativity. Yes. I was, like, consumed with positivity. Like, my dad was very religious, so he would listen to I had so many Bible tapes, like so many, like cassette tapes. And he'd pop that in and we'd listen to the 10-minute ride. And it was just some pastor talking, some scripture. And so, like, regardless of religious beliefs, it's a personal development. I do think that the Bible is, like, the original personal development. And so it was like this, like, positivity. And so my dad taught me early on, like, build a good habit, start your day off right. And so my childhood was filled with sports, lots and lots of sports. I grew up playing the bagpipes as well. So,
nice.
Very, very unique thing. My dad was big. Both my parents were big on putting me into any opportunity that I wanted to. Like, if I wanted to experience it, they're like, let's try it out. Being Scottish, bagpipes kind of came along with it. So I got a few Scottish tattoos on me. And so, so that was a lot of my childhood was just learning. I was partially homeschooled, so I was powering through school. So, but that also, like, everything my parents allowed me to do was really just around work. Like, you want to work at your own pace, you want to go faster at school, you can get done in school. So I ended up graduating my sophomore year in high school.
Yeah.
So.
How was it with the homeschooling?
Very interesting. Like, it's funny because I feel like I'm, like, one of the few. I don't know if you guys know any homeschoolers, so I don't want to.
Actually, I don't. That's why I'm actually really curious.
You kind of hear these, like, crazy stories of it. Yeah. Okay, we experienced them. Like, we were, like, there's these groups that you can join And like one I went to, and I remember we went to this, it was like a roller skating rink. I must have been like 9 or 10. And I went and I was like, Mom, we need to leave. Like, I don't know who these kids are. I mean, it was like straight like, oh, and you know, no offense to them, right? It was just, whoa, this is like, they don't look like kids. Like they are like, I mean, it was, everyone was wearing the same outfit. And it was very like, they were going to church. And it was like a Wednesday afternoon at like 2 o'clock. And you're like, we're rollerblading. And you look like you're in like, you're going to church. Yeah. And it was, everybody was very like, I only hang out with my brothers and sisters, and it came very, it was a little different, and so it lacked the social skills. And so for my parents, what they realized real quickly was they liked the aspect of being able to teach me certain elements. Like my dad is, he was always very skeptical on like certain aspects of traditional schooling, especially, and he wanted to make sure that I learned certain things. And obviously, we still stayed to the basic curriculum, but he wanted to teach me more. Like, my school didn't offer German, so he wanted me to learn German. I don't know why.
Did you learn German?
Yeah, it was rough.
Wow.
Like,
so you speak German?
No, not anymore.
But that's impressive, though.
I finished at 8th grade, and I was like, all right, I need to learn Spanish because everybody else speaks Spanish. Like, I hadn't met anybody at that time that spoke German other than my German teacher, so it's like, we need to expand.
Kudos to your dad.
Yeah, but he wanted me to try different things, right? He didn't want it to be always the norm. And so I still was able to be involved in a local private school, and so I still did certain aspects. So I had the social element, but my parents realized that I was very social, and so they were like, "We need to put you into stuff that you can excel at." And so like baseball, basketball, swimming, everything I did,
the whole
literally
night,
everything.
Right?
I bowled and I have multiple bowling trophies. Like I bowled multiple 300s. Bagpipes, was a world champion in bagpipes, not personally, but my band. Done a lot of different things, and so it was always about like just pushing. Like that's what weirdly now looking back. I realized all these things were just like driving me. Like I love to be pushed, and little did I know like that's what sports allowed me to do.
And,
you know,
and it was really setting you up for success.
Yeah. All those like I thought I really did think I was going to play professional basketball. I ended up playing in college and obviously throughout high school if you're going to play in college, but played throughout that, and I thought this was the path for me. A little naive, but then I ended up getting injured, and I was like, okay, like starting to like at that point I was in college and I was like starting to see like there was a skill difference. I could outwork a lot of them, and I'd go to more practice. I'd be in the weight room, but like there was just some guys that were like physically bigger, physically faster. And then now with my injury, I tore my groin 3 times between my senior year and my freshman year. And the doctor was like, there's not much to put back.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to sit out. You're gonna rehab, but you're gonna re-injure it. And like I did it the last time, just stepping to the side. Like it wasn't even something extreme. It was a light warm up, and I tore it. And so. That's where that
is. So it was to the point your body said no more.
Yeah, no more. And so it kind of allowed me to realize like all this was preparing me for like something. And I didn't know what it was. And so when I finished college or finished playing basketball, I was still in college. I was like, what the heck am I doing? And that's when I like really realized like, oh crap, like I still have all the disciplines. And that's when I started to learn that I could outwork people. Like actually just, I was just better at certain, it wasn't better. I would just push past everybody else. Like when everybody else would be like frustrated, they would quit, I'd just keep going. And I realized like that was like running sprints, like same idea. Like, okay, you want to run a little bit faster than me? No, like I'm gonna beat you. Like, and I would see that and like, oh no, like this guy's like he got this opportunity. Like, no, I'm gonna go harder. Yeah. And I would like just find opportunities to move up. And so sports played right into life. Not so much school, but right into earning. You know what I mean? Like when you could do, because I felt like school was. I mean, I did well in school, but school was. It wasn't
not for you.
Yeah. Well, it just wasn't what I wanted to learn. Like I loved reading. I just didn't love reading what they taught me necessarily, you know?
Okay. So piggybacking off of that, what are your thoughts on formal education versus self-education?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very, very interesting topic. And I'm precautious about jumping into it because I did graduate with a degree. And part of me is in business management. Part of me doesn't like having it because some people go, oh, that's why you're successful. That's why you run a business. Is not why I run a business. And I'll get into that in a minute. But I think that for certain people, formal education is phenomenal. I've had employees that worked for me before they had a college degree, left to finish maybe their senior year and come back. And you're like, dude, you are not the same person. And it's not that they learned something, they believe something in themselves that they didn't believe before. So formal education sometimes gives you the self-confidence to do things that you never thought you could do. It builds up belief in yourself. Now, do I think that the actual system of formal education works. Now, I think they're definitely, we all, I think at
It's
this point,
broken.
realize that.
Yeah.
It was designed at a completely different time, in a completely different ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it is, you know, I see it living in the Central Valley. So I grew up in Danville in the East Bay, very wealthy area, and then moved to Central Valley, and I was like, whoa, this is like a whole different world. And what I saw was the way my friends and I were taught by our own family was these skills of financial education that we just weren't seeing in the Central Valley because there was a lower income mindset. And it's not saying that because you're low income, you don't have the right mindset. It was just that it's passed down from generation to generation. Just like being in Central Valley, health, we were the 5th most unhealthy city when we started Go Fresh. Like that was a lot to do with the lack of education. It just, health wasn't there. Health typically comes with money. And so a lot of people assume health equals income and, or health equals wealth. And I mean, to a certain extent, health is wealth, but it doesn't necessarily have to go hand in hand. And so a lot of times, you know, I was seeing firsthand like, oh my gosh, the education system is ruining these kids because their parents didn't know. And then on top of it, things are changing from generation to generation. And so the school systems are not, I mean, they're failing the kids. I mean, home ec is like all but not really home ec anymore. Yeah. I mean, even from when I went to high school to now, like they don't learn how to bake. Like nobody wants to cook at home. I mean, my business literally exists because people don't want to cook at home. And I can tell you, people don't want to cook at home.
Or they're lazy.
I hope that stays kind of the same. But you know, like the reality is there needs to be a structural system. Definitely. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I mean, obviously we're seeing it that to invest $100,000+ into an education that doesn't guarantee you anywhere near that. I mean, I can't tell you how many people come in and apply for us for a minimum wage part-time job that have a college degree. And you're like, you were promised so much more. And obviously we have to take personal responsibility in our own who we are. Like a college degree does not guarantee it. And I think there was that like
belief that they do.
Yeah. You still have to be somebody. You still have to go out and like have that drive. I mean, we've had employees come to us and like they get a job paying $12 an hour, $13 an hour, whatever. And they're like, so when do I get a salary and benefits? And you're like, you know,
right? Yeah,
you know, you signed up for a part-time job. And like, yeah, but I have a college degree. And you're like, yeah, but you just because you have this, you know, and that's understanding the vehicle. I mean, you can drive a Honda Civic, but it's not going to be a Ferrari. Like, no matter how much you put logos on it, you know what I mean? And it's like, you can go to the Ferrari dealership and buy a Honda Civic and it's still going to be a Honda Civic. And so there's a certain level of like, I think that it's a falsity that's sold. It's a false dream that's sold to people through education.
Yeah, and people can buy into it and they feel entitled for things.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Right? It's not good.
For sure. And I think, like, for instance, like, I have 2 degrees. They're sitting in a box.
Yeah, right?
Literally. I think it's great. It gives you the credibility. But why not have the personal self-development? Why not educate yourself and have both, right?
Yep.
And it's almost the same thing. Like, I went to a point where I graduated and I thought I was going to reach that level of fulfillment. But then I'm like,
well, you're like there. You're like, now I'm here.
I'm here. Where's the top? Like, I'm missing something.
Yeah,
but
right?
There's so many people that go through that.
Yeah, of course. Billy, if we can go back to Memorial Day weekend when you tore your groin.
Yeah.
I really want to just know, because that's adversity that you faced. You had your passion, which was basketball, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
How was the bounce back getting out of that dark place?
So when I originally tore it, I lost a scholarship to the original college I was going to go to, and so like that was kind of shocking. I had not ever lost anything really. That was like mine, you know, like it was like, this is where I'm going. My plans are here. And all of a sudden it was like, whoosh. And it was like the first time that I was leaving my parents' house. I was going to do this whole new life. And I'd really set it up. I was moving to Southern California, Riverside. And so I was like, yes, like, you know what I mean? Like being in the Bay Area, you know a lot about Southern California, but it's like, okay, I'm getting away from my parents. I'm going to SoCal. Like, who doesn't love that? And all of a sudden it was just took away. And like, you know, I'm about to graduate high school and I'm like, oh my God, like, where am I going to college? Like everything, like, you know, I remember my graduation, like they're like, yeah, Billy Anderson, you know, UC Riverside. And I was like, I'm not going there. I'm not going there anymore. We changed that, you know? And so, you know, that was an experience amongst itself. It was very challenging to feel rejected, to feel like I was rejected. Like it was something personal. And you know, I've had some great coaches around me and my dad that was like, they don't define you. They are not you. They don't get to dictate you. They aren't like, their decision is not dictated upon you. That's their job and they're doing what's best for their job. Don't get those things attached. And like, that was where I really first learned like business is business. and like that they're just doing their job.
Yeah.
And so I've always been respectful of like that's just their job. Like
At the end of the day.
yeah, like I mean, I get it, but that's like when I have to make tough decisions too. That's my job. Like you aren't doing your job if you're not making that tough call. So they had to make the tough call. Like it sucks, right? Yeah, like I didn't want to do that.
It was unfortunate, but look
yeah.
at where it led you.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. I think to not want stuff like that is what causes you to not succeed in life. I've gone through more adversity through, I mean, in business, not even just in sports, but like adversity in business, and every one of those has led to a better moment. Like it's always how you get better. You have to face the adversity, and it's exciting when you do. It's almost more scary when it's going good. You're like, okay, something's got to be coming. Like every time I'm like, damn, we're killing it. Like, all right, let's look around. Like something's about to happen. Because there has to be some adversity. That's the only time you're growing, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and usually the biggest growth comes, you know, like right after that adversity. So it's like even when you're dealing with something, it's like switching that mindset to like it's about to be great. Like something's on the verge of great. So yeah.
That is insane.
Awesome. So you ended up not going to UC Riverside.
Yeah.
What was your alternative?
So I ended up going to Chico State.
Chico State.
So did Chico. I mean, and being in Northern California, you know, it's very funny. I was thinking about it last night, and I was like, man, like. I almost wish that it's part of me was like, oh man, like I wonder if I hadn't done that, like what would happen? And then I was like, no, like all of a sudden it clicked to me like everything that happened from there. And it was so funny because like, so when I went there, I was like entrepreneurial I just hustled. Like I just made money. Like I've always, if you listen to EJ's podcast, I talked about like when I was in preschool, I used to steal stuff from the junk drawer and sell it. So I always did that. And so at this point I was like starting a clothing brand. I don't know what I was doing. I was putting logos on, like designs on shirts. And I was kind of like making some money on that. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do that. And I started graphic design. That's what I went to college for originally. And like a month in, I was like, this is not what I'm about. Like this is fun, but like my oldest sister went to did graphic design, completely different time. She graduated high school in '94, so it was like pre-really like Photoshop or anything. I mean, it's I think she was using paint. You know, like it was like real basic. But it was a lot of hand sculpting. I was like, I can do that. I can sculpt. And all of a sudden it was like computers, and I was like, whoa, this is like, Illustrator, Dreamweaver. I had no idea what was going on. And so quickly got out of that, switched into the business realm. But like just everything that went along with it, I'll never forget this one day. And this is incriminating myself, but I was a freshman in college, and we were at the zoo in Chico. And I remember this kid was selling my buddy some weed. And I was like, how do you get it for the price that you get it? And he was like, that's why I'm the dealer and you're the buyer. And I was like, mother, like it pissed me off.
But you
I was
asked all
like,
the right questions.
But I was like, all right, like I get, like it was like like never forget. I don't even remember the kid's name. I think his name was David, but like I don't even remember everybody else in that situation. But I was like, that moment was like this moment that switched. Like I need to be the supplier, not the buyer. Like that's where the success is. Like that's where I need to be. And it was the moment where I was like, okay, no more working for anybody. I was working like Safeway, I think. I mean, just a college job in a college town. And I was like, all right, I need to do something different. And it was like everything started shifting towards that. I ended up leaving college maybe, a couple months later. I mean, I ended up leaving that year, but it was Mother's Day weekend. I took my best friend who was up there with me at the time, who actually works with me at GoFresh. And we were driving back, and we had just gotten done eating like Mother's Day dinner. And I was like, dude, like home cooked dinner, man. And I was like, we got to move back, bro. Like, we can't stay anymore. And I just saw that, like, have you guys ever been to Chico?
No, never.
Okay, don't.
No.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Like, when you're 18, 19, 20, it's a great place. But it's like an hour and a half past SAC, and there's just an hour and a half of nothing. And it's just like you're in the middle of nowhere in this small town that there's not that many people that live there. It's a fun place, right? Mm-hmm. But for like an entrepreneurial person, there's just not a lot. And I mean, it's a small town, so there's a lot of college kids competing for a very few amount of jobs, so making money was just not there. And so I was like, man, am I going to do 3 more years of like partying? And like, I was playing basketball, but it was like pretty much partying. And then there was some basketball there. You know what I mean? Like basketball became secondary. And I saw that all my disciplines were going away. And I was like not training. It wasn't me anymore. Like while I had a great time, don't get me wrong. And it's just no knock. I have plenty of friends that graduated and have phenomenal careers. A lot of great stuff has come out of Chico State, not knocking that. But for me, I just saw where I was going, and I go, you know what? If I really want to get to where I want to go, I need to switch. And it was very hard for me to make that move back home, because to me, it felt like moving home. I mean, you guys know, like moving home when you go to college is like this like taboo, like, damn, you failed.
It's like the pride in the ego.
Yeah, and like to come home and then all of a sudden they're like, you're home. And you're like, yeah, back at mom and dad's.
They're like, what happened?
Yeah, like, yeah. And immediately, I went to junior college, so then it was like, whoa, like 4-year to junior college, and so there was a year of like kind of like, oh, like who am I? And it was a real tough year for me. Coming back, my parents and I battled, becoming an adult. And it was funny. I have an employee that's kind of going through some similar stuff, and I was sharing with him that like not similar, but like dealing with family stuff. He's growing up, right, and he's very entrepreneurial himself. And I was saying, there's a difference between like in your relationship with your family when they're trying to be your parent, and then you start to create a relationship with your parents, and like you become friends. You know what I mean? And like it's been amazing these last few years with my family. Like I have that, but there was this early part where it was like my dad was still trying to control me and be the dad. And like, let me be your parental. And then like we finally broke through that years later, but like we didn't talk for like a year and a half. I had to move out. Actually lived in a hotel for like 2 weeks. Ended up moving in with my best friend's parents. They let me crash on the couch for a little while. And it was like this weird struggle of like me becoming my own person. But it was what I had to go through that for my dad and I to have this amazing relationship. We had a phenomenal relationship the last few years, but like I had to go through this like weird period of like I failed at college in essence. Even though I was still going to college, I failed at like the 4-year thing. That's how I kind of felt. I was basically homeless, like living on a buddy's couch, and it was just this weird period of like, who the hell am I? And that's where I got into personal development, and that's like when I kind of like found my groove. The first book I ever read was The 10 Core Commitments by Jeff Olson. It was a personal or network marketing business book, and it was like simple things. And one of the examples he talks about is the bagger boy. He says the bagger boy gets paid minimum wage because his decision is, do I put the cans on top of the bread or the bread on top of the cans? And he goes, you get paid by the direct proportion of the decisions that you make. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't make decisions. Like I really, like I was working for, at the time, the city of San Ramon, working at the aquatic center. I'd worked in aquatics for a long time. And I was like, dude, I decide whether the kid can go up and down the slide. Like that's my decision. Can you go off the diving board or can you not go off the dive? Like, oh my God, like I'm being paid to that. I gotta figure out ways. And so it became like any job opportunities that became available, I went for them. And all of a sudden I ended up getting a full-time job with the city of San Ramon. They ended up paying for my education for college. So I ended up transferring to Cal State East Bay. They paid for it. And it was like, all of a sudden I started chunking through. I won like City Employee of the Month a couple times. And saving a kid's life. That was choking. So that's kind of why. But yeah, so I started chunking through and I started winning. And it was like, oh my God, like I'm winning. Unfortunately, I started winning at an early age and started making too much money and got egotistical. And I jumped ship for my first like entrepreneurial venture because I had made some good money doing network marketing in my 3rd month and was like, fuck this job. Excuse my language, don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
You're good.
No,
You're good, man.
I forgot to ask that before, but I was like, fuck this. I'm out of here. Like I'm an entrepreneur because they emphasize just over broke. And this is my period where I was very anti-college. Like you don't need to go to college. And I would tell people, like, you should drop out of college. Work harder in your network marketing business. Don't listen to me on that one. That was like my worst thing. I probably ruined some people's lives for it. And that's why I'm very, very apprehensive to like say, no, call to each their own, right?
Yeah.
And you have to do what's best for you. But overall, the system's broken. But yeah, that was where I first made my first jump. And it was hard. It was real hard. My parents were real disappointed because they're like, you just left this great job for this.
You just quit cold turkey.
Oh, yeah. I put 2 weeks in and I left. I didn't show up. And it was one of my biggest regrets. I think I mentioned it on EJ's podcast. I was like really, really disappointed in who I was. Like now looking back, I just dipped. I was like, I don't
So
need
it was your
this.
pride and your ego that you let get in the way,
yeah,
right?
big time. All ego, man. I thought I was the best. Like I was like, I don't need this job. Like who are they? And I didn't realize how much like that affected them till years later. And it's like, it was something that really weighed on me for a long time. And so it was just like, don't burn bridges. You never know when an opportunity. I mean, like we could have played Little League together, and because I was an asshole in 7th grade, you're like, dude, I remember that guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like
true.
Treat people well. I mean, obviously that's an exam. I mean, you're a kid. It's a different situation, but like you should always treat people well. And I think so often people think of you at like your current surface level, and they're like, all right, this is who you are. Okay, cool. I don't need that person. And then all of a sudden I think we see this a lot on social media now. Like now people all of a sudden want to go back and like, oh, I knew you a long time ago. And you're like, no, I remember you. Like, yeah, you were a dick to me. Like, you were hella mean. Like, and then now Like they're trying to be friends
Get their
with
way
you.
in
Yeah, and I think that's where you just have to be good. You just have to be nice to everybody and treat people well and like complete the job and care for other people. Like really have other people's perspective in mind, because I just dipped and I just, I put the 2 weeks in and I just left. And so I let that team down, and all those people are affected by that, and still to this day don't particularly like me. And it was unfortunate.
Because of your actions, right?
Yeah, and I've gone back and apologized, sent some emails and things like that, and tried to clear that space with them. But it's sometimes damage is done, and I mean, like, there's a certain level of like, do they really even care anymore?
Yeah.
But it was like one thing I had to clear my space with, because it really bugged me. Like I was like, dang, I just dropped the ball. And that was my last real serious job I had. And I just, I had a lot of really great professional people that I worked with there. City officials and stuff there that I burn bridges with, and I do business in a city right next to that. And a lot of them have come in and saw that I was the owner and never come back.
Wow.
And that was a situation happening when I was 21 years old.
Yeah. But everything happens for a reason.
yeah.
It's a growing experience. And if you
100%.
didn't have that experience, you wouldn't have gotten out of that egotistical,
Yes.
prideful state that you were in before.
Well, you have to sometimes like crash down to realize what you had and who you were. I may have never appreciated that job if I just quit normally,
Or even anything that you're doing today.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think differently about ending
Perspective.
it. How do you end it? Even when I talked to you guys about like not coming today because of everything that happened, like I was like, now I got a commitment. Like I have to fulfill my commitment, and that's much.
By the way, man, we really, really appreciate that, and I
Awesome.
commend you for that. And
Thank
like I said it in the message, your dad would be very proud of you.
Thank you. I
And,
mean, that's the kind of man that he would want me to be.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no. So it's those lessons of like the tough struggles, like in those moments. Like now looking back, you think you're like, oh, I'm hot shit, and then like now you're like, dang man, like I was not hot. You know what I mean? Like you were the lowest of low, and so that really has humbled me to now at this point in my life, like I appreciate every moment I have. I appreciate every opportunity I have. And even if it comes down to like, hey, I can't help you guys out, I'll still let you know. I won't just be like, I won't get back. They know by me not getting back to them, that's a no. Like no, like I'll still respond.
That's true.
Why not? Like it's completing communication. After that, I had gone on to do a personal development course called Landmark, and like that was really where I was like, oh my gosh, like I really have this like space that I left, like just I need to complete with so many people, and it was like started chunking back through this 2-year period of me in this network marketing company, like not putting it on the network marketing company. It was just that I was 21 to 23, and I started making good money. They put me on stage, like you're 21 and you're on stage.
You're young
and you're just
and
like,
naive,
whoa,
right?
whoa, whoa, whoa. Like everybody's loving you, and like, I don't know if you guys ever been in network marketing, but like you get a lot of older people in there that believe in the dream, and they see some young guy, and I used to be like, I retired from my job. I mean, I retired and I was barely getting by financially. I was like, I drove a BMW. Like it was like, I basically paid my rent and paid for the car, and that was it. Like, and I had suits. Like that was it. Like I could barely pay to get in the events.
So you looked the part.
Yeah, very much so. And so it got to a point. This is even part of like the whole like humbling yourself and being real. It got to the point that I got tired of being not me on stage, because I was not me. I was not real on stage. I was saying what I needed to say. I wasn't authentic. I'd be like, this is how you do it. And how can you not expose 2 people a day to your business? Blah, blah, blah. And there'd be days like, I think the thing that's tough sometimes when you're a trainer is you don't want to talk about vulnerability.
Yes.
But like vulnerability is real. And if you're not relatable, people feel like, man, like this guy has no weaknesses. Like, well, if he's got no weaknesses, I must be a loser if I feel these types of nerves or whatever it is. And so it was like this like facade I had to keep up. And it was very much some of the leadership was like pushing towards that. Like you gotta make sure everybody knows you're successful. And it was like I wasn't authentic. And all this personal development I'm reading, talking about being real and having integrity and being a person of their word. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not. And it was like messing with my integrity. And so it was a real big spiral for me. In that final period of there, I was starting another company called East Bay Hookups. It was a computer technology company that we ended up getting sued by Foot Locker. And so it was like all in this period of me like trying to figure out like who really am I? And then I lost it. And I just like, my world went spiraling down. Like it was probably one of the worst 6-month periods of like that from the like being on stage to like literally, it got to the point that I was running an event that I like couldn't even run anymore. I couldn't even afford to pay the hotel room, but I was keeping my ego up by like putting my credit card down, and I'm like, I'm not even like, we didn't have enough people coming to pay for it, and I was like, I had to keep the facade going. Like I can't let everybody know that I'm not like successful, you know, like that I'm not, like I felt like a fraud, you know, and I was like, I can't let anybody know. And it got to the point that I literally like, everything was like, I'm getting sued and I'm using the attorneys for the legal service. I'm marketing in the network marketing company to like help me with the lawsuit. It was just this bad situation. Yeah. And I'm like telling everybody on stage, like, yeah, you should buy this legal insurance. It helps you if you get sued by Foot Locker, and like, I'm using it right now. And yeah, it was like, it was this weird period of me just like, I was literally like smiling at the event, crying in my car. And like, it was just this like, I'm not me.
So when did you come to terms with that?
When I quit, when I just disappeared. Like I literally sent out a text message, I think on a Monday night. This was another one, me just dropping the ball, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need to quit. You know, like this is this isn't, the company didn't make me do any of these things. Right? These were all my own internal instincts to do, feeling weird or, you know, being inauthentic on stage. That was all me, right? I don't want to put anything on the company. I still have friends in the company. Company's done well, still doing well. But like it was just this point when I was like, I'm just breaking down. Like I'm at a wall, and I don't think I can go on stage one more time without like breaking down and lying to everybody, or like telling everybody like, yo, like I can't do this anymore. Like, and I had checks from like 2 years ago. Like, look at my check, and it's like, it's 2 years ago. Like, do you have any current ones? Like, you know. And I had a couple people ask me that. I was like, oh. And so I finally had a conversation with the guy that was my upline, and he had kind of left for the same reasons, and he just kind of broke down and told me everything that he was feeling. I was like, dude, me too. And this was like right before I was about to go and do my last meeting. So it was like this moment I was like, oh, like, okay, so he's feeling it too. Like I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And I had so many great people, like everybody on my team and that came to these meetings, they bought into me. And I was like, damn, they're buying into a like falsity, like false story. And so I was like, I gotta end it. And so I ended it. That was about 8.5 years ago. It was right when I had moved to Modesto, so I was like kind of trying to just figure out what the hell I was doing. And I was in Modesto, but I was kind of back and forth between the Bay. But I lived in Modesto, and that's when it just kind of all fell apart. There was a guy in my network marketing business, and he used to share his story about when he was depressed. And he used to say that he used to go in the closet and cry. And so I was like, all right, I kind of feel like I'm depressed. Maybe I should go in the closet and cry. And I would sit, like my girlfriend at the time, she would leave to go to work, and I would just sit in the closet like, what the hell am I doing with myself? Like, where am I going? And it was, and I was so lost. Like, I remember my dad came and knocked on my dad drove from the Bay Area to my house, knocked on our door, like, and I was so embarrassed. I couldn't even tell my dad what was going on. Like, I just couldn't, like, tell him I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was such a failure, but he was just trying to help. You know, now looking back, I'm like, damn, like, I wish I'd opened that door. Maybe I could have gotten somewhere quicker. Or, you know, could have gotten back on track. Right. You know what I mean? He was just there to help. But it was just this dark place. And before I used to be scared to share this because I was like embarrassed. But I realized like this is like who you have to be. And like you have to be vulnerable because somebody else might be going through something. You know what I mean? Or is just coming through it or just about to get into it. And it was just like, I don't know who the hell I am. I have this college degree. I should be kind of getting back to that entitlement thing. Like I should be successful. And I'm like, don't have a job. Don't know where to go. I don't have any real experience in like business management, anything along the lines of a field I could go into. And I was like, all these places I was looking at, it was like 5 years experience, 2 years experience. And I was so like overanalyzing it that I was paralyzed, like paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I need experience, so I'm not gonna even apply. And so I just sat there one day and like, I think I was smoking some weed on the couch or something. And my girlfriend was like, you need to do something with your life, otherwise I'm gonna leave you. And I was like, all right, like I don't know what to do. I called one of my buddies that had worked, or he was working at In-N-Out. He was a store, or he was high up in management at the time. And he's like, dude, like I can get you a job at In-N-Out. Like at least it's something. He's like, just get your wheels rolling again. And he was somebody that was with me in network marketing, so he knew that I could do it. Like he's like, dude, just do something to get going again. Like momentum, you know, like once you get momentum going, things will happen. And that's literally what happened. Like I applied. Yeah, it was humbling. So when I applied, I told everybody I had a brand new BMW that was in the shop, and I had this whole facade, right? And
So you
I
were
was like,
still living
yeah.
it, rinse, repeat, right?
Yeah, still the same person. And it was like, finally, like halfway through, I was like, I just gotta tell everybody, like, I'm riding the bus here. Like, I ride my bike here. Like, I do whatever it takes to get here. Like, I didn't have a car. I lost, literally, at this point, I lost everything.
At this point, you were 23, 24?
Yes, I think I was just to turn 24. I just got, because I started end of December, or like just like mid-December, and my birthday's January, so it was like end of 23, driving into 24, and like, I kind of was like, all right, I have these two friends that are in and out managers. They're making great money. They both drive nice cars. Like, okay, like, maybe I can do this. Quickly learned that in the Central Valley, this is like getting back to the income situation. It's so cheap to live in the Central Valley that you can live on like $13 an hour. So like there was tons of people that had been there forever. So like once you hit a certain level, it was just stagnant. You couldn't move up because In-N-Out works on like, you've been there this amount of time, you deserve it. And like, so while my friends were in the Bay Area where there's high turnover because you can't work, like I mean, the only kids that were working the lower jobs were kids in high school or maybe college, but then as soon as they graduated college, they had to move on to something else because you can't pay rent. And so I was like, oh shoot, like this is, and my manager had promised me like, hey, you'll move up quick, like you got a college degree, like as long as you promise me to work hard, you'll be good. I was like, all right, cool, like I can do this. And after a year, I was doing a ton of different stuff, but I was like still low level. And I was like, wait, you're manipulating labor and you're using me so that.
So you cut onto it.
Yeah, I figured out what he was doing, and he was using me at like high level positions, but keeping me on low level labor. So he was running great labor because managers get paid on like the labor rate that they're there. So it was like, I was like, damn it, like, okay, I figured out the game. And there was literally one night, and I shared it on EJ's podcast. I literally will never forget this moment. And I was like pouring a shake, and she was talking about how much money she's gonna make when she has a college degree. And I was like, oh my God, like.
You have a college degree?
Like, I need to get the hell out of here. Like, it was just like this, like, you know when you hear somebody talking and you're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe they're saying that. And I was like, I'm like staring at the shake machine, like, like, I can't believe she's saying this right now. And it was just this moment of like, dude, you got to do something. Like, this is not
like
you.
Now.
Like, yeah, like this is, like, it was like the slap in the face that I needed. Like that, maybe that's what my dad was going to do the day that he came to my house and I didn't answer the door. But it was like, it was that moment that I was like, yo, you gotta do something different now. Like now. And so that was like a Saturday or Sunday night. I ended up quitting Thursday. Got my tattoo on Friday, so I couldn't go back because if you lift up your arms at a tattoo shows, can't go back.
That's it.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, can't go back to the one job that I knew I had. Can't go back to that. And that Sunday morning, I ended up getting a call from a good friend of mine who was running a solar company and was like, yo, like we're opening our Northern California branch. I need you. And I was like, when do I start? He's like, tomorrow morning. And this was Thursday. I quit.
Oh shoot.
Friday, Friday tattoo. Saturday or Sunday, I'm getting my call. And funny enough, Friday before I got my tattoo, I actually went to the state secretary's office and filed for Venture Food Services, which is now GoFresh. So that was kind of like in the works. I was thinking I was going to jump and I was going to start a gourmet food truck. So I kind of had like that. It was just like I put it on hold. So while I was coming down here for the solar company, I was also hitting food trucks up, like checking out the food trucks. I mean, Southern California, food trucks everywhere. And so I was getting ideas, taking photos, like just picking people's brains down here about the food industry. Didn't think I was going to do solar for very long. I was like, this is real short term. And I mean, it still wasn't very long term that I was there. But it was able to like start generating money. And most importantly, I was around a bunch of people from the old network marketing company that were all like hustlers. So I got that spark back and I was like, okay, I got to grind. Like, let's go. Ended up getting into another business with one of the other solar guys as well. Like in the process, he ended up breaking off and starting something else. I invested in that. So it was just like, all of a sudden it was like back to entrepreneurial ability. Like I really thought I was done when I got sued because I was like, this is, I thought like, failure didn't come along with business. So I was like, if this is business, I don't want this. Like, I don't want to get sued again. Like, that was horrible, miserable experience. And I got punched in the face so quickly. I was like, all right, don't want that again. I'm just going to avoid it. And I realized, like, dude, you got to get punched in the face. Like, you got to have obstacles to get to the top of the mountain. And so, yeah, so that was like really like everything starts going in the right direction. And it was like forward progress. I have to keep moving forward. I have to. And that's when I really, really indoctrinated myself into personal development. Like next level. I was exposed to it. I was doing it.
But you actually took it
But
serious.
I was like, okay. But I was around the right people again. And that's where it clicked. Because when I was at In-N-Out, it was like reading In-N-Out or reading personal development and then going around a bunch of people that aren't into personal development. And no knock on them, right? Teach their own. But I wasn't in the right environment. That it was like watering a bunch of dirt, but there was no seed in it. You know what I mean? Like, it was like once I had the right environment and like it was just boom, everything clicked. And now I'm driving down here, so I'm like listening to so many. It was like Jim Rohn CDs all day, Tony Robbins CD,
the good stuff.
Yeah, like Jim Rohn's
Hell yeah.
Billy,
Godfather of
I
personal
do
development.
have to ask you, when you made the transition back into entrepreneur Billy, did you gravitate towards a mentor?
Mentorship has not been something I've never had really. I had people I like, right? And I've always, it's kind of funny, like I'm now just clicking, this is literally right now, this moment, like it's clicking to me. I've always gravitated towards like badasses, like, and I don't mean like you're a macho guy, but like, I get goals, or I set goals and I fucking achieve them, period. Like that to me is a badass. I don't care if you work out, I mean, usually they kind of had a all-inclusive lifestyle of like health. But it was like the people that just like, they said something and they did it.
They follow through.
Yeah, and you could just see action. And that was like, oh my gosh. So the first big one that I gravitated towards was, he was somebody from the network marketing company. His name was Todd Cahill. He still just came out with a book not too long ago. He's down in the San Diego area, still in network marketing and personal coaching, killing it. But I had my good friend that was the CEO of the solar company. And it started to just start having more, I don't want to say like peers, but just people that I started being around more that were doing things that I was like, I like what you're doing. Tell me more about that. Like, what are you doing? Like, not like, what are you doing? Like, oh, are you bench pressing? Like, what are you doing up here? Like, how did you get there? Like, talk to me about the mindset. Like, what are you doing before you go to the gym? Or what are you doing before you go to work?
So trying
like,
to understand them, right?
Yeah, like what makes them click? And so Andrew, the CEO of the solar company, still a good friend of mine, still a mentor to this day. He shared a lot because unfortunately the solar company didn't make it not too long after I left, had some internal problems, and the company dissolved. And he learned a lot through those partnerships. So she shared a lot through that. Like, hey, here's he never forget this list. It's still on my phone. 10 things he learned from doing business at Soul Fusion. And because there was partnership disputes, there was the issues. That's kind of what dissolved the company. And like, he shared a lot of that. And so it was like starting to get experiences through people that I knew, just like you guys know a lot of people that are in business space, entrepreneurs, and they start telling you these stories of like when they got screwed or when they, made a stupid decision. And that's what it started to be. So I just started to want to be friends with more people that were doing stuff.
And learn from them.
Yeah. And I don't know if I necessarily knew I was learning from them, but I just wanted I love stories. So like your guys' podcast, like I love it because like, there are not a lot of podcasts that like to like get into people's stories. And that's honestly the first thing that's how I met EJ was like, my buddy was on his podcast and I was like, dude, like, yes, an entrepreneur podcast that talks about like their life. Like I don't care about I care about your business, but I want to know like what led you there.
The juice.
Like, yeah, exactly. And so like when I found your guys' podcast, I was like, oh hell yeah, another one. Like this is sick. And like so I just want to know about like your story because I learn more from what led up to the business than like what, because that's what like got you there. Like I think everybody wants to try to like, what business can I do today that's going to make me $100,000? Like,
there's more to it though.
Yeah, there's so much more to that because $100,000 or whatever the dollar amount is, success in that business is not going to be determined by what the business is. It's going to be determined by what led you to make that business decision.
Journey.
We can all talk about a million business ideas that probably would succeed.
Yeah.
But we don't have the passion, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the juice to get us to actually go through the struggles and that. And so I started wanting just to know what gets you going? What do you do when you deal with this? Like, hey man, I'm dealing with this. What do you do when you deal with that? Like, oh, this is what I do. So it just started being more and more people. This was like early Instagram. So like even like the entrepreneur, it was just fitness. It was like shreds, like tons of shreds. There wasn't much business that I was there. And so at this point too, this is a interesting period of my life because I was on the road so much with solar that I started to gravitate towards like, well, just eating like shit. And I was just eating crap and feeling like crap. And so I was like, dude, I gotta figure something out. Cause this world, cause In-N-Out I was eating like crap. Like I was
For sure.
It was just not there. I mean, I was eating In-N-Out. You get a free meal, you get a free burger every meal, like or every shift. Like I'm gonna eat it. So I just got into these bad habits, and my parents did not raise me that way. My dad ate organic, ate freaking goat's milk and stuff. Like it was. My mom was trying to deny that one. She's like, no. I was like, I swear, it was the worst. But I mean, like I ate this homemade cereal that was like raw oats, and like, my dad was very juices that every dinner, like it was all organic, all that kind of good stuff. But it wasn't necessarily like nutritionally balanced. It was just healthy. Fruits, vegetables, organic, nothing processed, no sugars, none of that kind of stuff. No fast food, like I think I had In-N-Out like twice in my life before I moved out.
Wow.
So all of a sudden I got into this like unhealthy eating habits, just felt like crap. And so I got on this like, I need to figure something out. And I also, at this time, even though I was working, I lost that like drive to do something personal, like personal fitness. And like, that was a huge part of me, and I felt empty. I wasn't playing basketball anymore. We just don't have courts in Modesto because of fighting and things like that. And so I was like, I need to do something. Like we need to get into that. And so it was like in my space, and I just got into Instagram at this time. And so when I said when in my space, not my space, in my space. And so I happened to get on Instagram, and a friend of mine that I went to high school with, who was like this like fat little Hawaiian guy, also posted this photo, and he's like shredded. I was like, whoa,
Wow.
like what? Who is this guy?
What did you do? What are your secrets?
Yeah, and so he had tagged this guy Cuts into his Instagram, and I was like, who's this guy? So I clicked, started following him. All he would post is just, people he was working with that were shredded. And I thought it was like a team you had to get like recruited onto. And I was like, oh man, like hopefully I can get there one day. And so it started to drive me. And like this guy Cuts, who's a very good friend of mine, his name's Ariel Alberto, started being like a fitness mentor of mine from afar. I didn't even know him. And like, he would just post things that were like, push yourself. Like, I don't even know what.
Motivating, right?
But it was like to push yourself, whether physically, mentally, whatever. And so all of a sudden I started, like, my business started to get better as I worked out. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm better. I'm sharper. I'm like more attentive. Like when you said something, I can snap back quicker. Like all of a sudden my brain started to work better as my body got better, which was very weird with me because I didn't think those things went hand in hand. Like energies, sleep. I slept less, and I woke up feeling better. Like, all right, this is.
But you were more active.
Yeah, I was like, this is like what's going on here? Like I thought I was gonna sleep more because I'm more active, and it was like all of a sudden everything started shifting. Ended up meeting a girl that was a IFBB pro figure competitor at the time. She started coaching me. She was like on her way to going to the Olympia, so she was like kind of busy, and so she was like, hey, she talked to this guy Ariel. And I was like, oh no way, like I know who this guy is. And so like all of a sudden I met him. He started coaching me. That's where I got in the men's physique avenue, and he got me on the whole healthy eating thing, and like taught me true nutrition and like how to fuel your body for the right thing and for energy and like for performance. And it just exposed me to like the truth around health. And I saw a massive need for everybody to know about this, because I realized playing sports my whole life, I never learned any of this. And so I was like, oh my God, like I played in college, I didn't even know about this. Like they need to teach this to everybody. Like I need to figure out a way to teach this. And so I didn't know what I was doing with it. I literally wrote on my whiteboard, prep for success. I just wrote it on there. I didn't know what I was doing with it, but I was like, I gotta do something prep for success. We're gonna have to do something with nutrition, fitness, and prepping for success. And so like just kept going, kept selling solar. The company started building really big in Southern California, and the Bay Area branch just wasn't able to be supported. The company didn't have enough resources to support us. And so it got to a point that I had to make the executive decision. I was like, I'm gonna shut the office down. Like I can't do this anymore. Like it was just, I was losing salesmen because we weren't getting enough sales leads. I was hiring them, and then they weren't getting the amount of sales leads they were promised, so they weren't able to make the commissions they were promised. It was this bad situation. And so I had to tell them like, hey, look, like I've got to step away. I can't do this anymore. And so I was kind of like just out, and I was like, all right, like I got money, I got time, I'm competing, like what am I gonna do? And I started just kind of like playing with it, seeing like just what was out there. And my fiance started cooking for me. My fiance, not my previous girlfriend, she left me not too long after I got the In-N-Out job. Naomi, who I met not too long before we started the company, 3 months before. Great way to really to build your relationship, start a business.
You hear that now?
Yeah. So don't. No, I'm just kidding. No. Honestly, it was.
So how do you find balance? No,
It was a
tough.
challenge, right? It was
It
a
is.
challenge, and I mean, obviously, she's here today, so we found some sort of balance, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, so we started that, and she started cooking for me, and it was like not started as a business. It was like one of my friends was like, dude, I cannot ask my mom to cook me any more food because we like make fun of her. Like, you don't even live with your parents, but you still go to your mom's house every Sunday to have her cook your chicken. Like, and he was like doing men's physique shows too, and he's like, well, just have Naomi cook for me. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know, like I'll ask her how much that'll be. And so like all of a sudden he was working in a total nutrition too at the time. So he all of a sudden got these meals delivered one day, and a customer was like, oh, how do I get some of those? And funny enough, that customer, her name's Patricia Fuentes, she's still a customer of ours to this day, 5 years later.
Wow.
Badass customer, comes in almost every day. She's the nicest lady. And it's so awesome to have her as like a first customer, because I'm like, man, if you still like us from back when we were cooking then, like, you
And
know
she's
you love
loyal.
our food. Yeah, she's great. And so that was kind of like, she was like, you guys should really do something. Like, she was a teacher, and she's like, I got a lot of other teachers that like want food. Like, you should do something. And at this time, we were heading to Miami for a bodybuilding show that I was doing there. And there was a guy there, and he had the girls in like bikinis and machine guns, and like they were like, yeah, free meals, and they were like just throwing stuff out, and it was like this like spectacle. And I was like, if this guy can do this, like, we're gonna crush this thing, like we're gonna destroy this. And so we flew home, and that's where Prep for Success started, and then we modified it January 2016 into Go Fresh.
So did she start cooking?
She started cooking, yeah. So she was originally the original cook.
Wow.
So she started that, really like no real cooking experience. Her mom runs a food truck, but like not like, you know, like no other than like any other kid with their parent. Like that was her, you know, at home cooking. Like no professional restaurant cooking experience. She worked at a sushi restaurant, but like as a server, you know, like so she would use those gaps, like where the sushi restaurants close between 3 and 5 or 2 and 5. She would use that to come home and like prep me chicken or whatever, you know, like she was doing that because I was on the road so much because I was driving from Fremont to the Bay or to Modesto, and so it was like this, like I mean, we were cooking just food for fuel. Like it was pretty plain chicken breast, like pretty plain stuff, like very low season, no sodium added. So I mean, just boring.
So how many clients do you guys start off with? Let's say your first month to 3 months.
So the first 3 months are a great period. So we actually started slightly before we went to Miami. We were kind of she was just meal prepping for a few people. So at that time we were cooking at our house, and we had probably about like 6 or 7 people. Just real small. I mean, but at this point we hadn't like started. We went to Miami, and that was end of November. It was right before Thanksgiving. We came back right before Thanksgiving. So weird point for health, right? Nobody wants to be healthy in that point. But we started like pushing it. We're like, okay, let's see what we can do. We started working with Nick and Nate Diaz out of Stockton. Nick was preparing to fight. Yeah, it was a great opportunity. I knew one of Nick's trainers, and Nick was preparing to fight Anderson Silva. Like, I mean, that's at the time Anderson was like just coming back, I think, from his meniscus tear, some big injury, and so it was like this huge fight. Plus, I mean, who doesn't love Nick and Nate? Like, they're just entertaining, and the local 209 guys for us. So it was a big deal for like brand recognition, and it was a great learning lesson because they're pescatarians, and so like we didn't make a lot of stuff that fit their menu. So we made a bunch of stuff for them, which was the hardest thing. Like we were juicing gallons of carrot juice for them. And no juice comes out of carrots. I mean, just like it takes a lot of carrots. Like we were going through like 55 pound bags of carrots, like 5 of them to make a couple gallons, and like we were doing this every couple days.
Trial and error.
I don't know why they were drinking so much carrot juice. Don't know. But like, so we were working with him, Joe Schillings, or well, Nick and Nate, and then Joe Schillings because they were all in camp together. So it was a great opportunity to work with like high level athletes, and they loved it. And that's pretty much who we were targeting: high level athletes. Like you were CrossFit Games, you know, some sort of CrossFit competition, bodybuilding. Like that's who we targeted in the beginning. And this is where we like started to realize like we were getting customers, but it was like a very targeted person, and we had to bank on them buying a lot of meals. So like at that time it was minimum 14 meals, somewhere between 14 and 30 meals. So you're pretty much eating just at the time Go Fresh meals. And we realized we're like, man, like our goal is to help people be healthy. And gosh, we are just not helping a lot of people be healthy because like they're quitting after like 2 months. Like, what the hell is going on? And so we started talking to people, and they're like, you know, like, yeah, I signed up for this gym, and they had this like 60-day challenge, and the food was great during that 60 days. Right. But then the challenge was over. Yeah,
they fell off the wagon.
Exactly. And so I was like, hold on one second here. Like, we need to figure out a way to get people to be like not falling off? Like, how do we, and so we started like playing with like, how do we get people to not fall off the wagon? And it was like, okay, well, what if it was more accessible? Like, what if it was not this like once a week order thing? What if we could make it where they could just walk in and grab it, like Starbucks or anything else, and just roll in, grab something? And so this was shortly after we came back from Miami. So this was like beginning of January. We were starting to see like, okay, like people are hot right now because it's January, it's New Year, New Me. Like, how do we keep them on like March, April, May? Like, how do we keep them on longer? And so we decided to take over a restaurant. This was a great learning lesson for me because I had never opened a restaurant. Didn't get any advice. There was no mentorship in this. Should get mentorship. And so took over a restaurant thinking, hey, this is a restaurant. It should be able to be a restaurant. Learned that's not quite the case. None of the plumbing led to any of the grease traps or interceptors. So like they were doing dye tests and they're like, there's nothing going through this interceptor. And like we found out that it was like bypassed. So they put a grease trap in the hole or in the ground, but never, it was just, so I had to tear the whole kitchen floor up. I also learned that the health department doesn't necessarily always tell you things in like a full scale. They'll tell you piece by piece. So we would like fix one problem and then she'd be like, so you got to fix this too. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so it took 11 months. And by the time that we actually got to the floor situation with the drains, I had passed the 3-month clause in our lease that I could have actually gotten that handled by the landlord. So, it was like, man, learning lessons, and no knock on the health department, no knock on it. I just needed to have, better mentors. So I ended up getting a friend of mine that owned a restaurant to really help me out. Great guy, still this day, somebody that I trust with any questions I've got with the restaurant industry. He just opened a freaking massive facility, a massive restaurant. It's an Assyrian restaurant, and it's just, dude, it's got a top floor banquet room down. We hold all of our employee events there. It's just great, and it's just such a sick facility. But anyway, so he was like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. Call this lady, and she was like the head of the health department. He's like, my kids go to school with her. Like, he goes, or go to school with her kids, and like, got me in, and it was like one thing led to another. Also, we started chunking through this facility, and it was like, all right, like I had somebody that was guiding me, right? Yeah. And so we got the facility open, and we still didn't plan on selling food necessarily when you walked in. We just wanted it to be easier to get food because right now we can only deliver, and we were only delivering on like Mondays and Tuesdays. So then we opened the restaurant, and like the first week we're like, hey, we have some extra meals. Let's just throw them out and see what happens. First day, like immediately gone. Oh my God, like we gotta do this. And so I still remember the first day we put 10 meals out. The second day we put 15, and by the end of the week we put 35. And I was like, damn, if we can keep selling 35 a day, like we'll kill it. And now it's like 300 a day for each store. And it's like just for the walk-in, just that we do in volume of people just walking in. And it was like this thing that like, that's what clicked. And it was like, no longer was our pre-ordering the requirement. Now it's like, like realistically, we don't go to drive-thrus because it's like, oh, I was planning on going to In-N-Out Burger today. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, it's a cheat meal. Like, hey, I'm planning it. But more often than not, the people that are in a drive-thru, it was the convenient thing to do in the moment because you planned on eating better, or you planned on cooking at home, but then little Timmy had a baseball game, or you got caught in traffic, or a project ran late, and you're like, damn it, I'm just starving. I'm gonna go to In-N-Out, or wherever it is. I like In-N-Out, clearly, through this podcast. I became a fan after I worked there.
Billy, did you ever think that you were gonna expand Go Fresh? Like you have?
I thought we were gonna ship food nationwide. That was the original plan. It's funny because I've always had like a big dream, like, oh, I'm gonna do huge things. I really thought one restaurant. It is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting anybody that has one location, but like when I got one, I thought that I was like, oh man, this could be huge. Like, it took on a ton of energy amongst itself. But as soon as we opened one, I was like, yeah, let's do another one. Like, nice. Like as soon as I got the first one, then I was like, yeah. So now I have to be patient and like hold off on the fourth one. Because as soon as we got the third or second one, it was like, I was already on third. Like mentally, like where's the third one gonna go? And I already know where 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are. I already know where all of them are gonna go. In my mind,
for sure.
I've got it mapped out. But now I have to be a little bit more patient because I did learn. I'm not gonna lie. On the third one, I got punched in the face a whole bunch. Just in like the first two, pretty easy. They're kind of close to each other. I was able to borrow staff from one the other when somebody called out, and all of a sudden now we open one in the Bay Area. It's an hour to, depending on time of traffic, could be 2.5, 3 hours to get there from my house. So if somebody calls out, what do I do? And all of a sudden it was like the first 3 months of this past year, I was at Go Fresh Pleasanton every single day. Like I was just not there the first 3 months. Well, the first 3 months are foundation time for our year. So much is going on, and I'm in Pleasanton every day because like we were just short staffed and like the store opened really quick. It was the first store that we actually had open quicker than planned. And so it was like all of a sudden hiring was like difficult. And so that was really like, okay, opening 1, easy. Opening 2, pretty easy. Opening 3, it was like, okay, now I need another layer of leadership. It wasn't like I could micromanage 2 stores. Easy, I could micromanage 2 stores. Now I had to become somebody better. I had to learn how to lead leaders. Even though I've had leaders under me, now I really had to become a leader of leaders, which was a big shift for me. So this last 9 months has really been me focusing on like, how do I help people be better leaders? So now when I talk to them, I'm not like, oh, you should say this. I'm like, okay, think about their perspective. Like, okay, so they said this. Well, did you think that maybe they meant this? Or like, you know, like now we're thinking of like, okay, so this person doesn't like working those shifts, huh? Okay, well, like now it's your job to make sure that they have all the information. Maybe they don't like working the shift because you didn't train them properly. And they're like, oh shit. Like, so now you're having to help people to take ownership of their department and no longer just be like, yeah, you're right, or yeah, you're wrong. But like, be like, nope, they're always right, really. You know, like how do you serve your team? And so now it's like a big shift for me, and they're no longer just being like, you are my team, I serve you. Now I have to teach them how to serve. So yeah, it's been a big shift in like the transition of growth, and like now it's like really focusing on scaling. It's not just like, oh, I want to open a bunch of stores. It's like, how do I scale? How do I help my team grow? So now it's like at the point that I have to become
being a lot more patient, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot more patience. And that is the understanding. I think the one thing that comes along with running a business that's funny is like everybody wants to tell you what you should do about your business. Oh, you should do this. I'm sure people tell you about the podcast, and you're like, I would love to interview that person. I don't have the time to do that. I can't fly in that. I love to interview The Rock. The Rock doesn't want to come to my podcast. You know what I mean? Like there's things like that with people, like they'll say things, and you're like, I would love to open 5 more locations. I don't have time or money. And so, you know, people always want to give you ideas, and now it's like at the point where it's like you have to have that patience and understanding. Like, I can't do everything. Not everything can happen. We've got to take time, and we've got to make sure that we make it the right decision and the logical decision. Because before, when you have one location, you can take a risky, you can make a risky decision. Now I have 30 plus employees that depend on my decisions, and my decisions every day impact not only just my 30 employees, but a lot of them have children and wives and husbands. Like that impacts all of them. And so now my decisions aren't just Billy's decisions; they're my family's decision, my company's family's decisions. And so it's my whole team that matter. And that's the next step for my team too, is them understanding that all of us matter to each other, that we're one big team. So yeah,
beautiful.
It's crazy period.
And Billy, I love how you touched based on leadership. I think that a lot of people really need to deep dive into leadership and what makes a great leader. We do have to ask you, what's your definition of success?
Man, that's something that's constantly changing. I think you guys said it earlier, like what makes you feel fulfilled. I think that's success. You know,
Absolutely.
You know, I don't want to talk a lot about my dad passing and like this moment in my life, but like, you know, you have a moment to look back on people's lives, and you start to realize like it's given me a lot of perspective on what matters. And I realized my dad left this earth with leaving a huge impact on the lives that he touched. And I think it's not about just like the life that you live, but the impact that you make on other people's lives. And that's like true to success. Like how many people can you help and help live live their dreams? I think that we get caught up into our dreams so often, but that our dreams are taken. I think Jim Rohn says this, like the more people that you help take care of their bills, your bills will forever be taken care of. And something along those lines. And I think it's very much same thing with success. It's like you help other people live fulfilled lives, and your life will be fulfilled. So the more people that I have, like, I mean, our executive chef just went to Mexico for 2 weeks. First time he's taken any vacation, like real significant vacation. Like I think his daughter's birthday, he took a day off or something like that. This guy is the hardest working guy. And to give him 2 weeks off, our team kicked ass. Like he had trained his leadership up, and he was able to take 2 weeks, and he came back and he was like, do I get a paycheck? Like, I was like, yeah, man. Like it's like those things that like he gonna have a great time with his family. He came back, he got his big paycheck. You know, he still got his paycheck, like while still taking a vacation. Like even though like that's how companies should work. You know, it's like those things, like he gets to live those moments, like where he gets to live life, and he was so excited. Now he's in this period where he's like preparing to open his own food truck, and he's like all excited, and so like we're going back and forth, and like, but he's focused on making sure that the company's not like left when he's, you know, like it's not just a big.
So it's like a win-win. You guys are helping each other.
And like he's fulfilled. He's so freaking happy to be at work because he gets to do something that he loves, but that he knows that I care about him and I get to help him. And so like for me, doing my job, like when I get to support my team, like it's freaking freaking great. Like I mean, like we have tons of staff that want to do entrepreneurial things. And I'm like, cool, like let's get coffee, let's talk. Like, what can I do to serve you? Like, it's not just about like you work for me, yeah, but like afterwards, like what can I do to help you? Like, you know, and I think that's that's to me success in life. Obviously, you got to pay your bills. Like all that stuff comes along with it. Like that's a given. You know, if you can't pay your bills, you can't breathe. You know, but I truly think that really success is just serving other people. Like, and it's great. I can't remember who it was. Somebody in, I think it was one of the self-made gym owners had posted something about like that he realized it was his birthday, and he said something about that the thing that he realized the older he gets is that the only thing that matters is helping more people, like they achieve happiness or something along, or helping more people. Yeah. That you get more fulfillment by helping more people, and I think it's like I almost felt greedy reading it because I was like, damn, like that's me. But do I only help people because I feel fulfilled? But it was like but I don't. But you know, as long as you're not thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna help you because I'm gonna feel fulfilled.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, you have to have the intention.
Yeah, and so that's really it. It's just living life that you get to impact other people, and I think that's what goes back to like not burning bridges, like leaving people feeling at least like that you appreciate them. You know what I mean? Like you can't help every person that you touch, but not hurting anybody that you touch either. You know, and focusing on that.
It can come in different ways.
Yeah.
Gratitude, appreciation.
Yeah, and you just have to have perspective of other person's, you know, what's going on with them. Like not everybody's where you're at, and so you know, work with people where they're at and help people live a great life. I think that's success.
That's beautiful.
Love it,
respect goes very, very far in this life.
100%.
So here at the UnBreakables podcast, we like to do we have a tradition. They're magic cards. If you can pick two, if you don't feel comfortable answering the question, you can always pick another question. But we don't believe in coincidence. Okay. So we feel, you know, everything happens for a reason.
We're not asking. The deck is asking.
I love it.
So you can pick two.
Okay.
You want to know something interesting, Billy?
What's up?
You got your tattoo during all of that darkness, and it's weird, but we just had a tattoo owner on here, and he was saying that he's realized all of his clients, they're always going through like very depressing states when they're getting their ink. And I thought about it because when I got my ink and when she got her ink, we were going through some hard times, and you got yours the day after.
I could actually attest to that.
Every
hardship I ever went through, why do you think I have a whole entire sleeve? It means like something. There's so much pain. There's so much just passion.
Yeah, but you don't even feel the pain when you're going through it because it's just like it's something that you know you need to have put on you. You know what I mean? Like it's like in that moment you know it's right.
And then you can look back and it kind of tells a story.
100%. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
I like it, by the way. It's clean.
Thank you. I got it all put together. Like and it all has like, you know, like the rose. This was the original one right here, and it was like
an hourglass.
The rose over time leads to success to the top.
Oh man,
you had hourglass too. Oh,
I love hourglasses, man.
Yeah. I seen it, and I was like, oh.
We got them all over the place.
At first, I thought I was failing on time. I was like, oh shoot, I'm already out.
Okay, you got this one right here.
Oh man, it's everywhere. All right, well, let me see what these ones are. Oh man, what was your favorite part of the day today? I haven't had a whole lot today because I drove here. So being on this podcast right now has been the favorite part of today. No, I'm blessed. Thank you so much for having me. So that was nice and easy. Whew, this is a good one. How do you inspire others? I think it's just by continuously moving forward. I think that I up until recently didn't think I inspired anybody, and then people started commenting and telling me that I do, and so all of a sudden I felt like responsibility, like oh shoot, like I didn't know I did this. You know, you don't know that you impact other people, and I'm sure like there's people that you guys have no idea that listen to the podcast that don't comment, don't like, don't even follow you, but they heard that one and it impacted them. You know, I think it's just working hard. It's just being an example. Like I'm not perfect. By any stretch of the imagination, but I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna keep on trying until I figure it out. I think sometimes I'm a little bullheaded on that, but I want to show everybody that like with time you can figure this dang thing out. You know, like we haven't. Taxes have been difficult for our company. You know, like payroll's been difficult. Figuring out what our customers like has so many difficult parts of our company have come, and I could have given up so many times over. And I think it's that perseverance is what inspires others.
Yes, and at the end of the day, you're only human. Yeah. You know, and you go through struggles, hardships, adversities as well. But the fact that you're able to own it and be vulnerable, we really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I do have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
So given the fact that you struggled with finding your purpose and fulfillment, what advice would you give that someone that is struggling with trying to find their way or trying to find that purpose or fulfillment and just literally lost with no avenue?
I think the one thing I just want to put on purpose and that is I think we find purpose in different moments of our life. And I think the toughest part of finding your purpose is sticking with it. And that's because, anytime you get into something new and you become passionate about it and you verbally throw up on everybody, you're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this thing. And they're like, whoa.
What are you
and you're like,
smoking?
hater? You're a hater, bro. Why don't you love what I'm doing? And it's this thing that you have to understand that what you become passionate about, that others aren't necessarily as passionate as you. So I think the toughest part about finding your passion is just believing in yourself and not putting very much into what other people say. Because I think your most vulnerable point of your finding your passion is that initial point of oh my gosh, I found something. And then you go tell somebody, and then how their response is dictates whether or not you're going to stick with it. I mean, I'll be perfectly frank, I lied to my parents the first 2 years of me running GoFresh. I was like, yeah, I work for another company part-time, but I'm doing this thing part-time too. Because I was so afraid of them telling me you're freaking crazy. And it wasn't until we were legitimately kicking ass. I was like, yeah, this is what I do full-time. I never work for another company. I finally came to clarity with my parents, and they're like, we kind of had an idea. But I put so much into what they thought that I wish I had just come to them and said, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then just let it go. But I think that so often, I think we see this in fitness a lot, or anybody that starts the entrepreneurial journey. You go, especially younger people, you go from being no offense to most people, but a shithead 23-year-old. I mean, this was me. I was a smart aleck. I did club promoting too at night when I was younger. And all of a sudden I'm entrepreneur. I'm selling legal insurance. And they're like, who the fuck? You're 21 years old. What kind of legal insurance? And I was going to my parents' professional friends, and they were like, yeah, no. And they were punching me, not punching, but verbally, telling me I was crazy. And I was like, these haters. No, they're not haters. They just didn't see what you saw. And so it's the same thing when somebody all of a sudden gets into religion and people would be taken back. And it's because they're they're so, whatever, fired up about what they believe in. And then they go to somebody and they tell them, and then they're like, so it's just believing in yourself and your purpose and knowing that it's your purpose and not anybody else's. And so if it's your purpose, go after it and go believe in yourself and don't worry about what other people say. So that's my biggest thing is once I stopped caring what other people said, and let me be clear, I still care what people think. But when I stopped caring so much about what people thought, and I started focusing on what I thought and I knew I could do and I loved, that was when everything started to click. So
just like that, man.
Maybe not just like that, but close to it.
So Billy, for all our viewers at home who follow you, what's next for Billy Anderson?
Yeah, so what's next? Obviously continuing GoFresh. We want to grow that into a bigger brand and continue to help more people be healthy. Our goal is always to help more people be healthy, whether you buy GoFresh meals or not. So we're working on some digital products this year that are going to be able to expand our company. My bigger project right now that I'm working on is Lean Bites Bakery, our low carb keto cookie. Towards the end of my dad's life, he became diabetic, loved cookies, couldn't have cookies anymore. So I figured out a way around that. And so we have less than a gram of sugar, less than 2 grams of net carbs per cookie, or per serving, excuse me. And so I got some cookies for you guys in the car.
Oh,
I got
man, thank you.
a bunch of bags. So it's a project I'm working on really right now. I fell in love with food. I didn't know that food and health would come together, but now I'm realizing we obviously see this. It's a massive need for healthy eating. Obesity and diabetes are, huge killers here in our country, and I want to help fix that. I know I can't fix it, but I can help the process and contribute to it. And so it's through education, accessibility to healthy products. That's where you'll find Billy most of the rest of my life. I think I'm gonna stay in that space. So
you gotta talk to us real quick, man, about that shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Anti-Meal Prep Club originally started as a concept of obviously kind of copying another brand's shirt. But then we started to as we were creating the design, we're you know what? This actually embodies something more. So many meal prepping companies, much like us in the beginning, were so focused on dieting and making it about this let's lose weight. You don't need to lose weight to be.
Yeah.
Diet. And we wanted to, we don't even talk about dieting at GoFresh. It literally is not a word that we use when people come in and talk to us about diet. We're like, oh, well, we don't do diet planning. Like, you know, and I tell everybody it's like, it's living, not dying. And so dieting is diet in the word, or die in the word. So it's a live it, not a diet. So our focus is being about healthy eating and making it accessible. This is not about like what your macros are or how much sodium. Like we do list all that on all of our plates, but it's focused on giving people healthy food that helps you stay on track. Look, we can all want 6-packs. I mean, I can count on my one hand how many people I know that currently have a 6-pack. But there's unlimited amounts of people that struggle just to eat
It's tough,
healthy.
man.
It's the distance between I just want to be healthier and a 6-pack is so far. It's such a big jump from there to there. My focus is I just want to get you on the track to being healthier. Let's change one bad meal a week. So our focus isn't like most other meal prepping companies, which is like, we need you to buy a bunch of meals and be on this 30-day plan and we're going to help you lose all. It's not about that. We want to help you create healthy, sustainable habits, because being healthy is not dieting. Dieting is not healthy. It's not short term. This is about changing the rest of your life and the trajectory of where you're going with your health. So our focus at GoFresh is all about just getting you to buy one good meal a week. Because if I can change one good meal, I'm gonna get you on the path. Because you start to feel better, right? You eat one good meal and you're like, oh wow, I don't feel so crappy.
It's that easy.
That you eat lunch from GoFresh or any there's Be Nutritious, there's plenty of companies down here that serve healthy food. You go and eat that one meal instead of eating your normal burger or whatever you eat, and you feel different. And I need more people to feel better, because if I can get you to feel better, you'll get on that. But when you go and you start dieting, you feel like crap. You feel horrible. You feel lethargic.
Oh, for sure.
And all of a sudden, what happens? Cravings. You cheat, you give up, and then now you feel like a failure. And then you disassociate yourself with success and dieting, and now you don't want to diet at all. So I feel truly that the new year, new me has all but disappeared.
Love it.
Because people are so afraid to talk about dieting because they know they failed before and they're not going to be successful. So I want to eliminate dieting, and I want to just change people and get back to like eating healthy food. We talked about this earlier with the the cooking lessons from school. Why am I not?
Home ec.
Home ec, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't even like cooking. Like we all love watching cooking shows.
Oh, for
cooking
sure.
shows are through the roof.
Love 'em.
Through the roof. Cooking at home, nowhere. You know, and so it's like we don't even get people back to the roots of like cooking at home. And I mean that goes back to family, community, like eating together, cooking together, and like I want people to go back to just eating at home. If you can, forget GoFresh. If you can just cook food at home, I know it's difficult, but if you can cook food at home, not even worry about the ingredients, just cooking at home, you're gonna make better decisions than any fast food joint, any restaurant, because they have to use preservatives, they have to use things like that. You're gonna get better quality food. So getting back to just being a community, being a family, even if it's your own personal self, I know being a tribe, you know, like cooking at home, like eating real food, stop eating boxes, stop eating drive-thrus. Those things are gonna start helping you be healthier, and that's our whole goal. So whether it be eating one GoFresh meal, learning how to make one good meal a day, whatever it is, like it's just starting with a simplistic approach to dieting, and or to eating healthy, and that's really like the anti-meal prep, because most meal preps are this like, if you're meal prepping, you're on this like hardcore CrossFit diet, bodybuilding diet, you're on this like, you know, challenge, whatever it is, like we won't want that. And so
doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it's exactly. I was at Kaiser a couple weeks ago, and this lady was like, anti-meal prep club, isn't that like, it's not like you know, contradicting each other? And I was like, no, because we're anti-meal prep. And she's like, so you're anti-healthy eating? And I was like, no, we are for healthy eating. We're anti-dieting. She's like, well, how are you supposed to get healthy if you're not dieting? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. And she's like, well, you know, dieting is the only way it works. I was like, so are you on a diet? And she goes, well, no, I don't like dieting. And I was like, because
then
they
you
don't
need the
work.
shirt.
I was like, they don't work. And so if you feel like you can't just live life, then and you have
What's
to
the point
diet,
then?
like you're not being healthy. Look, I've dieted for my bodybuilding shows, things like that back in the day. But now it's just like, I have
You don't
abs.
think about
I have
it.
pretty much abs year round because I eat good food. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're going to probably go have maybe like a little cheat meal. We're down here having, enjoy ourselves. We might have a burger or something like that. But tonight I'm going to go home. We got these bomb shrimp tacos. I'm going to go home and eat my shrimp tacos. Like, like I'm going to get back on it. And I think that's the most important part, is you're allowed to live life. Like,
absolutely.
We're supposed to live. But we can't, like, it's this binging, we have to treat food like it's an addictive product as well. Just like cigarettes, alcohol, it's just as addictive. But the problem is alcohol and cigarettes you don't get till you're older. You guys have been getting fed food since the day you were born. You know what I mean? So like you're building up a habit. You can call it addiction. You can call it a habit, whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You're building that
Pretty
up
much
from
the
day
same
one.
thing.
Yeah. So if your mom and dad's feeding you sugar and soda all day long, I love my sisters both. They're both amazing. Hopefully they don't watch this. Well, hopefully the
Watch
middle one
this,
does.
please. No.
The middle one, she chooses not, like her kids don't eat sugar, don't eat that. The older one, they eat a little bit more sugar. You know, and so like you can see how the kids' habits are like, oh, I'll drink a soda. The other kids, they would die. If they had a soda, they'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They'd freak out because they never, and it's like the kids don't want soda because they've never been given soda. My oldest sister's kids always want soda because they were given soda.
Right.
Not saying that one was right, one was wrong. It was just that it was introduced at an early age versus not being introduced. And so, I mean, that's just a realization I have is that, look, we can, I mean, how many people are successful at cutting cigarettes out cold turkey? Not very many of them.
No, not at all.
Why do we treat food like that?
It's no different.
Yeah. Let's just wean off. Let's like build up some habits. Like, let's just take one lunch a week. That's why I approach that one meal a week. We can change some things for you. So that's really that's the whole focus on it. So
I love it. And you guys hear that? It all starts with the mind. The body is going to follow.
Yep.
Now, Billy, what are 3 tips that you can leave someone? Let's just say they're interested on starting a meal prep business. 3 tips.
3 tips. Food always matters. Food is king. People will only come back if the food tastes good. 100%. You could be the friendliest person in the world and they still won't come back if the food's not good. We have great customer service, but focus on our food. Customers' needs matter. I think that's the most important thing. We get caught up into like what I think is healthy or because I mean, being a ex-bodybuilder, I thought it had to be these macros.
Right.
You can't have this. You have to understand what the goal of the company is, and if the goal is to help people be healthy, you got to work with people, not bodybuilders. And not focus on what you think. You got to listen to all your customers, and this goes for any business. You got to listen to the market.
Feedback.
Yeah, you got to listen to the market. What is the market telling you? If they're bored with your food, or they're all like, I'm starving, like there's not enough food. Well, maybe you need to not focus on what you think is right and focus on what the customers are saying, because I think with meal prepping, we get focused on so much on the macros, and it's like, look, I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. Like, I have more macros than you or you. Like, but like, so to like generalize one plate and go, oh, I need to make, and that's what I see so many meal prepping companies be like, well, this is the standard macros. I'm like, standard? Everybody's different. Like,
yeah.
And like, so why shouldn't you have a small plate, a big plate? Like, make sure that you're listening to the customer, because you don't want one guy to come in that maybe, or they're overweight and they're like, this food's not enough for me and I'm starving. And so now you don't even help the customer get on the path because they think they're just going to starve from your, and so you have to be willing to work with the customers and understand that like you're not always right, that you got to let the customers always right. So yeah, I really think that's important. And then probably the last thing is focus on the end product, because I think we get so caught up into like what our food tastes like when it comes hot off the grill, or we think, oh, shipping food's great, but have you ever tasted your food when it got delivered? Because that's what happened to us, and it wasn't very good.
That's a really good point. No, thank you for being honest, man.
Lessons on lessons.
And where can our audience find you?
Yeah,
Get in
so
contact with you?
Instagram is always the best place, but I'm active on TikTok, LinkedIn. You can find me on both those, actively now on there. But Instagram, Billy_GoFresh, or Billy GoFresh on all the other platforms. You can go to my website, billygofresh.com. And so tons of stuff about meal prepping. I'm launching more and more about that. More people want to learn about meal prepping. So I'm posting more about that free content. Like I do consulting and coaching for food businesses, because I just love like the food space now. I think food is like, both my sisters were artists in their own ways. Like I found that food is kind of like food and business is my creative way.
For sure.
I can't draw, so thank God gave me
She's
something.
sick.
Really?
Yeah, she's good.
Man, did you do your tattoos?
It's been, actually, most of them I have designed them.
Oh, no
Put
way.
them on paper, gave them to the
Oh.
artist,
That's sick.
get it done.
See, I wish I had
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so you can find me on any one of those. You can find GoFresh or Lean Bites Bakery on Instagram, and those are the best places. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys, make sure to follow them if you're looking for quality, you're looking for the education, and you just want to feel better. It's all about investing in your body, investing in your mind. Speaking of investments, mentorship is very important. Follow Think Big, Work Small. It's a mentorship program with David Albanese. It is phenomenal. What he does is he invests in your business. He provides capital for anyone that doesn't have the capital to find the means to meet their dreams that they have. So if you need capital and you want to learn how to take action immediately, Think Big, Work Small with David Albanese.
Yes, and then follow us at the UnBreakables Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on YouTube and all podcast streaming platforms. If this message resonated with any of you guys, like it, share it with someone in need. Contact Billy for any meal prep, any fitness needs. He is a DM away, guys, an email. Thank you guys again. Billy, thank you so much for making the drive.
Thank you both for having me. I
and
appreciate
for
it.
coming on our show, man. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Episode 19.
Woo!
Out.